Okay, so let's add on to our basic greeter component so that it accepts some sort of prop. Let's say that it's a person's name that we're greeting. So it will be, hello, Colt, or hello, Jackie, or whatever in here, and that will be passed as a prop. So in my app file, where I'm creating or instantiating different greeter components, why don't I pass through I can't use name. You want to avoid that, but I'll use person. Sure. And I'm going to pass through one for myself, one for my cat Blue, and one for my dog Elton. And I'm getting an error. What's this error? Well, it's a little bit clunky to read the message. Type person string. Okay, well, that makes sense. It's a person set to string. Is not assignable to type intrinsic attributes. Property person does not exist on type intrinsic attributes. Basically, it's a long-winded way of saying that our greeter component is not expecting any person prop. It's not set up to accept that. So just like any function, we can type the parameter. Right now, there's no parameter, but we can type that props parameter that will be passed to it. And props is going to be an object. So then we can say, all right, props should be an object, and it should have a person that is a string, just like that. And this should work great. We don't get an error in there. We don't get an error over here. And now in my component, I can access props.person. And we get all the advantages of typing, right? If I misspell it, person like that, I'm going to get an error. TypeScript's going to warn me. So there's a real connection now between it's virtual, it's all TypeScript, but there's a connection from person, the prop I'm passing through, to person, the parameter type that we've defined, to person, the object property I'm actually accessing off of props. And we go to our rendered output, and we see hello Colt, hello Blue, hello Elton. All right, simple enough. So this is one pattern, one way of doing this. But when we have more complicated components, it gets kind of annoying to have our props set up like this where they're in line, right? So we have person, a string, and then maybe there's some other stuff we pass through. This could get really long if we had ID is a number, age is a number. It just gets messy. So what you'll see a lot of the time, and it's actually detailed in this cheat sheet for function components, you can create a type, or I would probably make an interface. I just prefer interfaces for the props. So we could go with interface and then greeter props. And greeter props should be, in this case, an object, right? It's an interface, so it has to be an object that has person set to a string. And then I'll get rid of this. I don't need an equal sign there for an interface. Get rid of all that and just say props is of type greeter props. And we're still good to go. Everything works fine. But what people also do a lot with React in functional components is destructure from the props. And we can do that just fine. It looks like this. I can just say, I want to destructure person out of the props object. And then here, I don't reference props anymore. I reference person. So very common, if we didn't have this in here, this looks just like React. But of course, this is TypeScript, and we're going to get yelled at for using implicit anytype. But we're just adding some annotations, right? We're saying that this object that we happen to be extracting person from has to follow this pattern. And all we said is that it's a person property that's set to a string. Very simple. But this pattern's used all the time. And in the next video, we'll set up a more complicated component with a few more props that maybe is just a little more exciting than a greeter.